dear friends and net aspirants, welcome back to High Point again. So as you can see, today's topic is A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is a play by William Shakespeare, which is a comedy by William Shakespeare and one of his most popular comedies. So we will be having an introduction, then we will have the characters list, then we will move on to a detailed summary of the comedy like always. So if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. So we have just started a whole video series related to William Shakespeare, and along with our other series such as the general history of English literature as well as the history or the literature of Elizabethan age. So you can follow me in these platforms. You can visit me in my website www.highpoint.in, in which you can find 900 plus audio lectures and also 300 plus downloadable PDF materials and live attemptable practice and previous question papers. Once you join the course, you will get lot more, such as weekly tests in every Saturdays and also personalized study guide according to the time available for you, and also according to the topics that you are preferring to study first. So all those things you will get free of cost after you joining the course once in our website. So if you want to know more about the course, you can call me or WhatsApp me in this number given in the screen. And also if you want to join a WhatsApp group in which I am sharing daily quizzes related to English literature as well as news and updates related to NTA, UGC NET and some study materials as well, you can go to the description box and click the link, or either you can WhatsApp me or call me in this number. And here comes my Instagram ID in which I am sharing lot of study cards as well as reels related to English literature as well as many things, savable materials related to, and short videos related to English literature. You can follow me in my Instagram ID as well if you have an account in Instagram. So that's all. So without wasting time, let's move on to the introduction to the play. It's a comedy by William Shakespeare, like I said, and the setting of this play is Athens. So this is very important. Not every other play is happening in London or Britain. Setting is different for different plays. Like we have discussed the previous play, The Taming of the Shrew. It is set in Verona, right? And many other plays are set in different places. So you have to first of all note down in your if you are taking down a note, then you have to note down that the setting of the play A Midsummer Night's Dream is in Athens, and it contains several subplots and primarily revolves around the marriage of Theseus and Hippolyta. So it has many subplots, at least 3 subplots are there, but mainly it is around the marriage of Theseus and Hippolyta. But this is not the, actually it is not the major plot, but major plot involves Athenian young people, and also some we can say supernatural characters are also there. All the characters of the play finds themselves in a forest inhabited by fairies who exploits human and engage in their own domestic intrigue. So a lot of fairies are there and their story is going on, while Athenian young people are there in the same forest and their story is also going on, and some other dramatists also, they are practicing their play inside that forest that they need to perform during the marriage ceremony or after the marriage celebration of Theseus and Hippolyta. And Theseus and Hippolyta's marriage is also it revolve around all these stories as a outer story. So the play is Shakespeare's one of the most popular and widely performed plays, like I said, and it has an allusion to Spenser's Epithalamion. So this play particularly allude to Spenser's Epithalamion. So Spenser is one of the major poetic figure of Elizabethan age. So about Spenser and Epithalamion, all those things we have discussed earlier when we were discussing about Spenser. You can go to the playlist and the video will be there and you can watch it. The play belongs to the author's early middle period, a time when Shakespeare devoted primary attention to the lyricism of his work. So this play belongs to the period of early middle period. So it belongs to the middle period and early times of his middle period, and it is actually in this time he devoted primarily his attention to lyricism of his work. So he started to be more a mature kind of playwright in his composition, in his plot as well. Now let's see the characters of the play. Theseus, the Duke of Athens; Hippolyta, Queen of the Amazon. So their marriage is going to happen. Then Aegus, father of Hermia; Hermia, daughter of Aegus, and who is in love with Lysander. Lysander is in love with Hermia. So from the beginning of the story, we can see Hermia and Lysander, they are lovers, and Demetrius is there. Demetrius suitor to Hermia. Helena is a friend to Hermia, but she is in love with Demetrius. Then Philostrate is master of the revels. Then Peter Quince is a carpenter. Nick Bottom, a weaver. So Peter Quince, Philostrate, Nick Bottom, then Francis Flute, Tom Snug, all these people, Robin Stravelling, then all these people, they are actually practicing and rehearsing for a drama that they wanted to perform during their celebration of the marriage between Theseus and Hippolyta. That's why they are in the forest. Then Oberon is king of the fairies, Titania queen of the fairies, and they have some domestic problem between them. Some kind of issues are going on between Oberon and Titania, and in that way they are also associated with their story got associated with all these Athenian people and also the fairies. Oberon, Titania, then Robin, Puck, Goodfellow. So Robin, Goodfellow is known as Puck, a spirit with the magical powers. Then Peace Blossom, Cobweb, Moth, and Mustard Seed. Peace Blossom, Cobweb, Moth, and Mustard Seed, these are fairy servants to Titania. So you have to remember at least the important characters like Theseus, Hippolyta, Aegus, Hermia, Lysander, Demetrius, Helena. Then you have to remember Nick Bottom, of course, then Oberon, Titania, Puck. See, at least you have to remember these characters. So once you know the story well, then it is easy to remember the characters' names. So don't skip the video. I'll be discussing, and we will be having a detailed summary of Midsummer Night's Dream. So you will find how all these subplots are interrelated to each other. If you don't pay attention, then you will get confused. Okay, let's move on to a detailed summary of the plot of the play. The play consists of 5 interconnected plots. So like in most of Shakespeare's plays, we have 5 acts, and they are interconnected, and they are connected with each other with the marriage celebration of Duke of Athens, Theseus, and Queen Amazon, Hippolyta. So how they are connected, even though their stories are not the prime story that is happening or important story that is happening in this play, but still every one of them are related because of the marriage that is soon going to happen between Theseus and Hippolyta. The play is set in a woodland, a fairyland, under the light of the moon. So it is happening in the night, okay, under the light of the moon, and it is happening in a fairyland which is actually far away from the dreary and dull life of everyday life, and Shakespeare's comedies are usually like that. So it is set in the forest of Athens. The play opens with Hermia refusing to marry Demetrius as demanded by her father, as she is in love with Lysander, whom her father does not approve of. So the play opens. When the play exposes, we come to know that Hermia refuses to marry Demetrius, that her father finds him as a suitor for his daughter Hermia. But why she is refusing? Hermia is already in love with Lysander. So there is a law that is present in Athens that the daughter should marry someone whom her father chooses her to marry, otherwise she can face death. Such a law is present in their Athens. So Aegus, citing this law, he goes to the Duke of Athens, Theseus. So let's see what happens next. So Theseus offers a choice to Hermia, a lifelong chastity as a nun worshipping the goddess Diana. So Theseus, when Aegus comes to him citing this law that a daughter should marry a person, a suitor that her father finds for his daughter. So otherwise the daughter needs to face death. So Theseus offers that you only have a choice. Actually, you have two choices, because one is that you can accept the suitor selected by your father, or otherwise you can spend your life in a nunnery as a nun worshipping the goddess Diana. For the approaching wedding of the Duke, Peter Quince, Nick Bottom, Francis Flute, Robert Sterling, Tom Snout and Snug decide to play a drama named The Most Lamentable Comedy and Most Cruel Death of Pyramus and Thisbe. So this was the story that they want to dramatize before the people who all are coming to attend the wedding ceremony of Theseus and Hippolyta. So these people, Peter Quince, Nick Bottom, Francis Flute, Robin Sterling and Tom Snout and Snug, these people actually they are practicing, rehearsing for a drama in the forest, so that they could perform that in the wedding ceremony. After the celebration, after the wedding, there will be a celebration, so they want to practice. So what was the play that they were practicing? It is titled as The Most Lamentable Comedy and Most Cruel Death of Pyramus and Thisbe. And everybody gets their roles in the play. So everybody, they have divided that this role should be played by this person. So it goes like that, and they started rehearsing. Nick Bottom, who is playing the main role. So Nick Bottom is the person who plays the main role, becoming over enthusiastic, wants to dominate other players and suggests playing the role of Thisbe, the lion, and Pyramus at the same time. So Nick Bottom, he is over enthusiastic, even though he is playing the main role, one of the main roles. He wants to dominate everyone else, and he suggests that he will play Thisbe, the lion, and Pyramus at the same time, and his own role that was assigned to him. And the players tell their opinions about it. Later, Peter ends the meeting by telling his actors, at the Duke's Oak we meet. So now they are not in the forest, they are playing, they are deciding, they are, they decided their roles, and after their discussion and all, they decided to meet in the forest later in the evening. So the next day will be the marriage, and then they need to perform it well. Now, so meanwhile, what is happening in another end, in between Oberon and Titania? See, Oberon and Titania, they come to the forest which is outside Athens, and they had a quarrel between them. Why? Because Oberon wanted the Indian changeling, or kind of a fairy that Titania has with herself. Why Oberon wanted him? Because he wanted to make it as his knight. That Titania refused to give away one of her fairies. Oberon infuriated. So this disobedience from Titania actually infuriated Oberon, and he decided to make some funny pranks on her. He calls his mischievous spirit Puck. So Puck is a mischievous spirit or fairy at the service of Oberon, and he calls him, and why he calls Puck? He wanted Puck to collect a juice from a flower known as love in idleness. So there is a charming juice inside this flower. So if somebody put this juice in one's eye while they are sleeping, and the first living creature that they see, they will fall in love with that creature, that person, or whoever that is there in their sight. That comes immediately after when they open the eyes, they will fall in love with that person. So that is the power of this juice from that flower. So Oberon wanted Puck to collect that. When this juice applied to the eyelids of someone while sleeping, after awaking, that person will fall in love with the first living thing they witness. So that is the power of this juice from the flower known as love in idleness. And Oberon wants to put the juice on Titania's eyelids so that she fell in love with some animals of the forest and renounce her titles and give her spirit to him. So why he wanted that juice? So he wanted to play some pranks on her, because Oberon wanted Titania to fell in love with some animals after he put this juice inside her eyelids, and actually after that she will renounce, because of that love she will renounce her titles and give her spirit to him. So that is the plan of Oberon. The lovers Hermia and Lysander, in order to escape from Theseus, also exiled to the same forest. So Hermia cannot go to the nunnery and be a nun forever in her life. So Hermia is in love with Lysander. So they also came out of Athens and they also went to the same forest where Oberon and Titania is there, and the other party, which the drama practicing party of people, they also agreed to come to the forest for rehearsing. Helena, desperate for Demetrius, reveals this plan, and he also followed them, and Helena also followed Demetrius to the forest. So everybody, every other important characters, they are going to the forest. See, Helena, she is friend to Hermia, and Helena is also in love with Demetrius, and Demetrius not reciprocating her love, and Demetrius wanted Hermia to marry him. So Helena goes to Demetrius and reveals this plan of their elopement to the forest, and Demetrius follows them, and also Helena also in turn follows Demetrius to the forest. In the forest, Helena makes love advancements to Demetrius and he refutes them with cruel remarks. So Helena, she always expresses her love towards Demetrius, but Demetrius is reluctant to accept any of it, and he cruelly refutes all those advancements by Helena, and this was heard by Oberon. So Helena's love advancements and Demetrius refusing of all of them, Oberon heard this and he asked Puck to pour some juice of the flower to the eyelids of that young Athenian man. So he is not specifically saying Demetrius, but he is directing Puck that you have to put some amount of that juice of the flower to the eyelids of this young gentle Athenian man, okay, who is dressed as an Athenian young man. But Puck mistakes Lysander for Demetrius. So Puck, actually he saw Lysander. Lysander is also an Athenian man who is also dressed as an Athenian young man. So Puck took Lysander and Puck thought that Oberon mentioned Lysander, and he put some juice on his eyelids instead Demetrius. And Helena comes along and attempts to make Lysander to wake up to know whether he is dead or living. So Helena comes along while Lysander is sleeping, and the eyelids are painted with that flower juice. So Helena comes and she doubted whether Lysander is dead or living. So she wakes him up. So what happens? Lysander saw Helena after when he opened his eyes out of that sleep. So because of that juice, effect of that juice and power of that juice, Lysander immediately fell in love with Helena, and he had no regard for Hermia. Okay. Immediately after waking up, he saw Helena and fell in love with her because of the magic of the juice, and Helena thought that Lysander is doing some tricks with her and runs away from him, but he follows her. So what happens? Helena felt so bewildered and surprised, because she already knows that Lysander and Hermia, they are lovers, and they run away from Athens just because Hermia need to go to a nunnery if she refuses to marry Demetrius. So Helena knows all these things. So Helena thought that Lysander is actually making some tricks and pranks on her. So she runs away from him, but he follows. As Hermia could not find Lysander with her, she went in search of him and thought that Demetrius killed him. So Hermia could not find Lysander when she wakes up, because Lysander already went from her following Helena. And when Hermia could not find Lysander with her, she thought that maybe Demetrius must have found Lysander and killed him already. So Oberon saw Demetrius still following Hermia and called Puck to put some flower juice on the eyes of Demetrius. So after waking up even, Oberon saw that Demetrius is still reluctant to accept or reciprocate the love of Helena. Instead, he is following Hermia now even. So he called Puck and even once again asked to put some juice, flower juice on the eyes of Demetrius. Upon waking up, he saw Helena. Now he fell in love with her. So two men are pursuing Helena now, and Hermia got jealous of it. So Hermia also finds out that, both Demetrius and Lysander, they are pursuing Helena with so much love towards her, and Hermia also felt so surprised that how come Lysander also fell in love with Helena, and he is not, Lysander no more pays any attention to Hermia's advancements, and he is rejecting Hermia from all sorts of advancements that she is wanted to do with Lysander, and she felt very jealous about it. So, but Helena believed that three of them are mocking at her. So, poor Helena, she doesn't know what is happening with all these three people, why Hermia is jealous, and Lysander, Demetrius, all of a sudden, why they are pursuing her. So, Helena believed that the plan is making her a laughing stock. The plan is that. So these three people are involved in this plan, and she believed that these three people, they are trying to mock her situation. And Lysander and Demetrius agreed in a duel to have Helena, and Oberon, knowing it, called Puck to keep those men without catching each other in the forest, and also remove the charm Lysander so he can return to his love for Hermia. So what happens, Lysander and Demetrius, they were quarreling with each other to have Helena for themselves. So they agreed to have a duel to have Helena. And Oberon, now things are getting little bit serious. So Oberon knows this. So he immediately called Puck, and he need to create a fog in the forest so that these two men cannot see each other, and they always keep apart with each other in the forest. So he does that. Oberon orders Puck to do that, and he also does that. And while Lysander is sleeping for the next time, he needs to put the charm, he needs to put the juice again in that eyelids of Lysander, so that the charm may remove from him and he can return to his life to Hermia. Meanwhile, the drama rehearsing group gathered in the forest near Titania's bower. So, meanwhile, all this thing happening in that forest with these young Athenian people. So, while the drama rehearsing group also gathered in the forest near Titania's bower. So, Puck spotted Bottom. So, Bottom is a self-enthusiastic person, and he thinks that he is a mind-blowing character and all. So, Puck spotted Bottom and transformed his head into that of a donkey. So basically, Bottom was so, in a kind of, he was showing over enthusiasm while he was doing rehearsals, and he wanted to play every other important character. So other dramatic performers or other players, dramatic players, actors, they actually deserted him, and he was sitting somewhere away from them. So in that particular moment, Puck sighted Bottom, and he transformed Puck's head into a donkey. Then his fellow actors saw him, they screamed in terror, and this confused Bottom. So when Bottom approached other fellow actors with this donkey head, they screamed in horror, and they don't know what happened to him. So they actually get confused, and he needs to go away from them. And he sits and began to sing in loneliness to wait for his friends, and Titania having the love potion. So Titania, Puck already has put some love potion, that juice from the flower, in her or on her eyelids, and Titania, while hearing this song from Bottom, he immediately saw him, and she fell in love with him. And Oberon had her Indian changeling boy and released Titania. So like Oberon wanted, he had her Indian changeling boy and released Titania, and Puck was ordered to remove the donkey head. So Titania was in so much of love with Puck with that donkey head, and it was a prank played by Oberon upon Titania. So later Puck was ordered to remove the donkey head from Bottom. So see here, Titania is loving and caring Bottom, and she is in love with love with him, and she renounced her titles and even gave away the Indian changeling to Oberon. So nothing really matters in love, right? Next, what happens? Puck also did everything to make Helena, Hermia, Lysander, and Demetrius believe that they just saw a dream, nothing else. So together, they don't know what happened. Before they were sleeping. See, Hermia was deserted by Lysander, and Helena was persuaded and pursued by Lysander and Demetrius. So Puck actually made them believe that nothing happened to them in real. They actually saw a dream together. And Puck distract Lysander and Demetrius from fighting over Helena's love by imitating their sound. So, before Lysander comes back to the love of Hermia, Puck distracts Lysander and Demetrius from each other so that they could not fight with each other. Once again, they fell asleep, and Puck put love potion over Lysander's eyes and made him fall in love with Helena all over again. And in the next morning, Theseus and Hippolyta appears in the forest for an early morning hunt and saw the sleeping lovers. So everything is normal now between Lysander and Hermia, Helena and Demetrius. So in the early morning, in the morning of Theseus and Hippolyta's marriage, they appeared in the forest for an early hunt as a custom, and they saw these Athenian sleeping lovers, these four people. By seeing the situation, he arranges a group wedding. So 3 weddings are going to happen between Theseus and Hippolyta, Helena and Demetrius, Hermia and Lysander. So he saw the situation and he arranges a group wedding. And Bottom also, when he woke up, thought he had a dream like that he is playing the role of a lover. So Bottom was also asleep, and when he woke up, what he thought, he also had a dream. In Athens, Theseus, Hippolyta and the lovers watched the play Pyramus and Thisbe. See, the players were rehearsing, and Bottom also returned to the rehearsal, and he also played the role which was assigned to him. And after the wedding ceremony of Theseus and the lovers, what happened? They actually watched the play played by the play actors, those who were doing the rehearsal, which is titled as Pyramus and Thisbe. And Oberon and Titania blessed the families with good fortune. So Oberon and Titania, as king and queens of Ares, they blessed the families with good fortune. And in the end, Puck suggested that after all what the audience watched might be just a dream. So towards the end, Puck suggested that, he is addressing to the audience, and Puck says that, see, you have watched whatever happened just now on the stage, but maybe you are also having a dream together. Okay, so that's how the play ends. Now let's see some themes and motifs that is there in the play. So lovers, bliss, carnivalesque. Carnivalesque means people from different strata of society have a role to play in this play, like common people. These theater performers or drama rehearsal was going on, and these people are common people, while Theseus and Hippolyte, they are high class people, they are dukes and they are rulers, while fairies, they are not part of even human society. And Athenian young people are there, and also old people are there. So people from different strata, like a carnival. In a carnival, everyone can participate, right? There is no caste discrimination, if you could say. That is carnivalesque in simple terms. So love is another major theme in most of his major comedies. Problems with the time, loss of individual identity, ambiguous. See, Bottom actually loses his individual identity when he got replaced, when his head got replaced with a donkey's head. And also Lysander and Demetrius also experiences some sort of loss of identity when they changed their attitude towards women. Then ambiguous sexuality. So we don't know what is the sexuality of fairies. Feminism is again, the disobedience of Titania cannot be tolerable for Oberon. So Oberon is not respecting her decision not to give the changeling boy to Oberon, because she owns it. Okay, so that is not respecting. she's not getting enough respect from Oberon. So that is again a feminist topic is also coming there. From in the postmodern times, we can have a lot of more kind of topics, themes and motives from the plays, like even though Shakespeare may not think all these things while he was composing it. So that was the major themes and motives, and we have already done a great summary of the plays. And if you have any doubts and queries, let me know it. Please comment that in the comment section, and also mention what is your major takeaway and what all things that you have learned, the major things that you have to remember about this play. Please mention that in the comment section so that the other students also get an insight. So don't forget to follow me in my Instagram ID ligimaria90. You can have immense number of study materials related to UGC NET English language and literature, and also go and visit my website www.highpoint.in. A 15% off in every other course is going on. You can have a glimpse of the entire arrangement of the topics related to English language and literature systematically, chronologically, and if you listen to the demo materials, you will understand how I have simplified the topics for you. And also, if you want to join the WhatsApp group, you can call me or WhatsApp me or message me in this given number on the screen. So that's all about it. So if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel, and also press the like button if you like this video. So that's all about it. Meet you in the next video session. Bye bye. Thank you.